Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over another major snowstorm for portions of the northern plains and Great Lakes. We're going to be going over those very cold temperatures as well as what some of the models are showing in terms of the snowfall. This is going to be the second system out of this group of systems that's moving through the western United States. Yesterday we covered the western winter storm, as I called it, that's moving through parts of the northern Rockies. We have another system that's going to dip out of that one and move into the southern Rockies and then into the plains. We'll time it out for you guys, and we'll also look at a couple of other factors, including the cold air and how much snowfall these models are actually predicting with some of these forecasts. So here would be the current National Weather Service forecast and watches and warnings. We have red flag warnings in effect for much of the central plains as well as for portions of Utah, Nevada, and California there. We also see some winter storm watches in the darker blue. That's from parts of Montana southward into Arizona and Utah, as well as another area for portions of California. We also see winter weather advisories for California and Nevada, with some winter storm warnings in that pink for portions of California. We also see some wind advisories in effect for portions of western California, as well as some scattered air quality alerts in parts of California as well. We see some fire weather watches just dotted across much of the western and central United States because of those very warm temperatures, as well as some of those very gusty winds. So let's start talking about what some of the models are showing. We're going to go over the GFS model first, and then we'll look at what the European model is showing, and then we'll look at a couple other models just to see what their snowfall totals are for the storm. Now here would be the GFS model. And this is the precipitation outlook from this model. In the blues, that's where you're looking at snow. In the greens, yellows, and oranges, and even reds, that's where you're looking at rainfall. Now, we see this first system, which is up in portions of Wyoming and Montana. That's your first low pressure system. Now, that is going to be heading out to the north and to the east. What we really have to pay attention to is the second cutoff low that is going to be coming out of parts of California and then dipping southward and then back into portions of the central United States. We have a very warm flow of air that's coming out of parts of northern Mexico that is bringing in some of these very warm temperatures all the way up into portions of the central plains and even parts of the northern plains ahead of this storm. And then behind this storm, we see a big cold front which is going to move through, set in some colder temperatures, and then that'll allow for this system out here to move up into a colder environment and even bring some snowfall. So let's time it out for you guys. So here would be by right around I believe this would be right around 10 p.m. Pacific time, and we're looking at some of that snowfall and rainfall. Really, most of this is from this system up to the north. The only thing that's coming out of this next system is going to be right up here in parts of California and Oregon. So let's play this through a little bit more. So here would be by right around 4 a.m., and it's starting to dip a little bit further to the south. This is all in Pacific time. Then as we get to right around 10 a.m., we're looking at most of that rain and snow moving through portions of the southwest. Here's your system. By that point, the secondary system is now moving out of here, and it's now going into northern Canada or southern Canada and the northern plains. Then as we get to right around, this would be right around, I believe, mountain time, this would be right around 5 p.m., and we're looking at most of that rain and snow still for the southwestern United States. It's starting to move a little bit further to the east. Then as we get to 11 p.m., it's the low pressure system is now split off into two. We have a weaker one out here, a surface low here, and we have another surface low that's back here. This is going to be your main one right here, but eventually this one will overtake and it'll move off to the north and east. So it is a very complex and dynamic pattern that we are in. Now, as we're starting to get to right around 5 a.m. Mountain Time, we're looking at most of that rain and snow moving through portions of the Four Corners. Then as we get to 11 in the morning, we're looking at that rain and snow mainly for the Rockies and higher elevations, but some of those lower elevations in Utah and Colorado and New Mexico are still getting into some of that snowfall. You see some thunderstorm activity further out, further to the east of the system ahead of this front, and then we see those colder temperatures out further to the west. So playing this through even more, this would now be Monday, November 9th, and we're looking at this would be, if I'm not mistaken, right around 5 p.m. Mountain Time. That low pressure is now over parts of the central plains, and as we continue, it starts to intensify over portions of the southern and central plains. This would be right around 11 p.m. on November 9th, Monday. Then as we get to Tuesday, right around 4 a.m., we're looking at most of that, or 5 a.m. We're looking at most of this rain and snow now moving into the plains. Let's switch over to Central Time here, and we're looking at this would be right around 12. This would be right around 6 p.m. if I'm not mistaken, and we're looking at most of that rain and snow by this point moving into portions of Wisconsin, Iowa, and Missouri with the heaviest rains, the most of that snowfall on the western side of there. So you could actually see some isolated bursts of convective activity, so we'll definitely have to monitor the severe weather threat. We do see some snowfall on the backside, and most of that snowfall is going to be right through this area in western Wisconsin and eastern Minnesota by this point. Now here would be right around this would be as we're getting to right around 6 p.m. Central Time, and we're looking at some of that heavy snow for southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. Then as we get to this would be right around 12 a.m. on Wednesday, and we're looking at most of the heavy snowfall for portions of Michigan, especially the western UP of Michigan, northwestern Wisconsin, and northeastern Minnesota. It then starts to get out of here as we get to the later hours on Wednesday. Now here's the European model, and we'll zoom out to the U.S. view of this. We're looking at that system still out in the western United States. This would be by Sunday morning. Then as we get to Sunday early in the morning, this would be right around 4 in the morning Pacific time. That system is still out over the west coast. As we continue this forward, that system starts to separate from the one to the north. We see that other system further to the south. This system will move out into the plains, and eventually we'll get that snow for portions of the northern plains. And let's play this through, and we see this would be right around Sunday night, right around 10 p.m. Most of that rain and snow now moving into the Rockies. If we switch over to Mountain Time, this would be right around 7 in the morning, or 5 in the morning on Monday, November 9th. Most of that rain and snow now over the Four Corners area, and even some of those lower lying areas also getting into some of that snowfall. Then as we get to Monday, this would be right around 11 a.m. or so. We're looking at most of that rain ahead of the system, so a bit of thunderstorm activity over the plains. We're seeing that snow and mix over portions of the Four Corners, and eventually this will head out to the north and to the east. So let's play this through a little bit more. Here's by the time that we're getting to Wednesday or Monday evening, and then as we're getting to Tuesday morning, that heavy rain ahead of the front. We see some of that snow on the western side of this. Now as we're switching over to Central Time, this would be right around 6 in the morning on Tuesday, November 10th. Most of that rain and snow mix is over portions of Nebraska, South Dakota, and even portions of southern Minnesota there. And then as we get to, I'll play this through even more. Here is by the time that we get to noon on November 10th, we're looking at heavy snowfall on the western side of this, heavy icing over parts of just northwest of Minneapolis, I would say, and most of southern and central Minnesota getting to some of that by that point. And then as we get to right around 6 p.m. on Tuesday, we're looking at that heavy snow now transitioning, so portions of northeastern parts of Minnesota getting into some of that ice mix, while further to the south and to the west you're actually looking at some of that snowfall, and that's because you would be in that warmer sector. You're seeing your low pressure up here, you see a warm front ahead of this, and I'll draw that in red. We see the cold front behind this, and that is going to be allowing some of that snowfall on the back side of this, and ahead of that cold front is where you're going to get most of that thunderstorm activity for portions of the Great Lakes and parts of the plains. Then as we move forward, this would be right around Wednesday midnight, and we're looking at most of the heavy snowfall for portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin, and moving this forward even more. It's really starting to get out of here right around 6 a.m. Wednesday. It's pretty much wrapping up. So here would be what the European model shows in terms of snowfall, and you really have to ignore most of this. This is not from that system. Most of this, however, I'll draw this in a different color. I'll draw this in yellow. Most of this, however, is from this system, as well as what's up in the plains. That's all from this system. So some pockets, especially in the plains, getting up to 6 to 10 inches of snowfall. I think that's a little bit overdone, but I'll be releasing my official forecast within the next couple of videos. Here would be the GFS model and what it's showing, it's a little bit further to the south and to the east, has maximum values right around 9 to 10, maybe even 11 inches in some areas, and it's really a much thinner area of snowfall. If we actually, I'll actually push this back a little bit on what the European model was showing. So here's what the European model was showing, and we're looking at that much further to the north and west, and as well, a much wider area is seeing snowfall by that point. If we switch to the GFS, it's a much thinner area, and that's going to be the big difference. Is it going to move a little bit further to north and west, where areas further to the south and east won't get snow, or is it going to be shifted further to the south and east, where areas north and west won't get snow? It's definitely a very tricky forecast because you have so many moving parts. Now here would be just the final model. Here's what the UK Met model is showing, and it's agreeing a little bit more with the European model. So I think both of those have a fairly good view on what's going to happen. I think it'll be probably shifted a little bit further to the north and west. Don't count out a little bit of mixing over these regions, because you could see some brief change over to a wintry precipitation, especially as you get over to Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. I think you could get some sort of switch over briefly. I don't think anything will accumulate too much. I don't think you'll get too much accumulation out of that. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.